All right, Nick, let's talk about the Denver Broncos. Sean Payton introduced Monday formally as the new head coach of the Denver Broncos. He had a lot to say, some very, very interesting points, mainly focused around improving and how they were going to do that. But again, I say there were some very interesting points in his press conference.
Yeah, Miles, but before we get into that, Denver Broncos fans, we want to hear from you guys in the comments section below. Look, we know the Super Bowl is right around the corner. Super Bowl Sunday, it's only a few days away at this point. Obviously, it's kind of a split loyalties here. You got the Chiefs, bitter rival, right? Do you want them to win? Do you want them to get smoked by the Eagles? However you want the game to go, let us know in the comment section below what you think the final score will be, obviously with the winner highlighted. Let us know in the comment section below. And while you're down there, make sure you hit subscribe so that way anytime we create Denver Broncos content, and we love talking about the Broncos, it gets sent right to you so you don't have to do anything. But all right, Miles, give us the latest out of Denver.
Yeah, Nick. So the news I'm referring to is that of when Sean Payton was asked about Russell Wilson, his team, his set of coaches, and mainly his personal quarterback coach, Jake Heaps, and all of their support personnel. They were asked if he being Heaps would be allowed into the Broncos training facility. And Payton kind of made it clear from the start, he said, I'm not too familiar with that. That is very foreign concept to me. The only people in our facilities will be our staff, our players, and that's it. So he kind of, from the very get-go, kind of nixed that and said, listen, we're going to have our guys in here, and that is who is going to be in the training facility. Not to say that this won't change down the road if things call for it, but from the very beginning, Peyton's kind of putting his foot down already, where I feel like Nathaniel Hackett let himself kind of get walked all over in the introduction of him and Russell Wilson. Wilson seemed to do whatever he wanted, but, the results last year, a career low 16 touchdowns. He had 11 interceptions, not very great performances for Wilson, but I think Payton is on his way to, as I said, he wants to turn this program around, and specifically, he thinks he can turn Russell Wilson around. What do you think about all of this coming out of Denver, Nick?
Yeah, I think it's a really good sign because there's no better quarterback, or frankly, there's very few quarterbacks that are better than a humbled Russell Wilson, right? You go back to the 3 times in Russell Wilson's career when he's been humbled. It was coming out of college, right? He fell to the 3rd round despite having all the physical tools, great production. He just was a little short, only 5'11". Falls to the 3rd round, day 1 starter for the Seattle Seahawks, and that Legion of Boom, leading him right to the playoffs. How about the best year of his career, Miles, the career where he led the NFL in passer rating? That was in 2015. 2014, the year before, ended with that infamous Malcolm Butler interception at the goal line. How about his second best year when he had a career high in passer rating? It was in 2018. That was following 2017, the first time in his career that he missed the playoffs. Russell Wilson plays so much better, Miles, when he is humbled, when he feels like he has a chip on his shoulder and something to overcome. And I think when he first showed up to Denver last year with Hackett, bringing in Team 3, his staff and all that, having his own office allegedly, in the facility and things like that, I think it wasn't a very humbling experience. He felt, it's like one of the old adage of like a boxer or a fighter, right? It's hard to get out of bed and work hard when you have, the 3,000 count sheets, the soft linen sheets kind of thing. I think he lost a little bit of that edge, right? And I think Payton coming in and saying, no, we never heard of that. He's going to be one of the guys, just like any other player. He's going to have his locker, and that's it. That's what he's got to deal with. I think that's the kind of humbling demeanor and leadership they need from their head coach to turn Russell Wilson around.
Yeah, I think Wilson, not saying that he hasn't accomplished a lot in his career, because he has, but for this team and this coaching staff, he has not accomplished anything yet.
Correct.
So he has to earn it, Nick. And I like how Payton points out the last 2 games of this season were kind of a little bit of coming out. We saw the spark with Russell when Nathaniel Hackett was fired, and that may have also been in the line of what you're referring to, of him being humbled a little bit. Saw that the offense was failing, the coaching experiment was failing, and innately, Hackett gets fired, and then Wilson's like, okay, I got to do something because I'm next if this doesn't work out. Maybe his contract would stop that from happening, but with Justin Otten calling the plays, with Clint Kubiak as the quarterback coach and Rosberg as the interim head coach, Wilson had 6 total touchdowns, 4 passing, 2 rushing touchdowns, Nick. And Payton goes on to allude that those were kind of the first glimpses of how he thought things could be better for Russell Wilson. So the end of the season was the beginning of this turnaround, and he kind of was saying we need to grow off of that. We need to move on to that. And he said last season, with the offense kind of not fitting Wilson and his play style, Payton thinks that he has a offense that will fit Wilson's play style. And the comment he gave was quite funny, Nick. He said, "None of us really want to be at a karaoke bar with a song that we don't know the words to." And that's how he described the offense as it fit Wilson last year. So I think Payton has a really good plan. I think they have a good, with Otton as offensive coordinator, there's a good litany of coaches around Wilson to make him successful. And to go back to the point at the beginning of the video, Nick, I don't think Russell's team needs to be involved right now. I think they kind of need to work it out on their own as the Broncos for right now.
Yeah, and I agree with you 100% on your point when Sean Payton comes out and focusing on this, building an offense specifically for Russell Wilson. Because if there's one thing Sean Payton knows how to do, it's building an offense around a quarterback who is, how shall we say, vertically challenged, right? He was very effective, obviously, with none other than Drew Brees in New Orleans. Payton knows where he's coming from that perspective. In fact, Drew Brees himself came out and said, "I'm not sure there's a better scenario for Russell Wilson than Sean Payton being his head coach." So right now, everything we're hearing out of Denver in regards to Russell Wilson and Sean Payton, that whole dynamic is exactly what you want to be hearing. And I really love the direction the Broncos are going in right now. I think they're really heading into a strong spot.